Wildfires are breaking records across Canada, and some officials want a national wildfire administration to better coordinate and send help where it's needed most. My next guest is one of those officials. Joining me now is Ken McMullen. He's the president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs and the fire chief in Red Deer, Alberta. Ken, thank you so much for making time for us.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on your program.
Ken, this is the second year in a row we're seeing wildfires on this scale across Canada. I think our colleague Mark was just saying that it's in every province and territory except PEI at this moment. What's your reaction to seeing this crisis unfold again?
It's very disturbing and it's quite alarming. We have seen this again now for the third year. We saw in 2023 Canada's worst wildfire season in Canadian history. 24 wasn't much better, and now we're certainly seeing in 25 the pattern is not one that we're looking forward. This is not good. Today there are 712 wildfires all across this country right now, and as you just indicated, every province or territory, with the exception of Prince Edward Island, has some degree of fire. It's alarming.
And Ken, as you've just established, we're seeing that this is not isolated incidents. This is not something happening in just one region. And we know that climate experts tell us that this is probably something we're going to be seeing more of in the future. What would you say are the biggest problems you're seeing and identifying right now in how Canada responds to wildfires?
I think it's important for your listeners to understand and remember that there are two different types of firefighters when it comes to this type of wildfires. We have our colleagues in wildland firefighting, those men and women that are trained, have the equipment and expertise to fight fires in the treed areas. You then have our municipal firefighters, the men and women that work for the towns, villages, and cities across country who are trained, have the expertise and equipment for structural firefighting. Now, what we're seeing more now than ever is the reliance on those two groups to work very well together in a geographical area called the wildland urban interface. That's literally the area where the fire is leaving the treat areas and coming across and either threatening or already impacting homes and properties along the way. Our colleagues in wildland firefighting have a very robust system that has been around for a long time that coordinates their response, their assets between provinces and territories, as well as from other parts of the world. And that's CIFC, the Canadian Interagency Forest Firefighting Centre. The Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs is advocating for a creation of something similar to that in the federal government for the municipal side that we've called the National Fire Administration.
With fires raging, we have provinces stretched really thin. We just saw in that update from New Brunswick officials saying our firefighters from New Brunswick are usually the men and women who go into other provinces to help out. Now we're the ones having to ask for help, to ask for those water bombers from other provinces, even from states like Maine. Tell me, why is now the right time to create this kind of administration that you just outlined?
Yeah, I think I would suggest that the right time was a few years ago, to be fair. The reality is we're going to continue to have this conversation. Right now in Canada, there are 124,000 firefighters made up of career, composite, and volunteer firefighters. 87,000 of that population are volunteer. These are men and women in their communities that are leaving their otherwise jobs or their responsibilities as a caregiver to go and assist their own communities and help fellow Canadians. The volunteer fire system has been around for centuries, and it works most of the time. What it was never designed to do is to ask men and women to be away from their homes for not hours at a time, but weeks, and we've seen historically up to a month at a time, assisting in these wildfires. We need better coordination. We need the ability to work with what we have more effectively than what we've been doing.
I want to ask you how well Prime Minister Mark Carney and his government have done when it comes to this. I understand that you met with former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau late last year on this very issue, and that you felt the response was positive. We now have a new Prime Minister in charge. Have you seen any signs of renewed commitment to tackling wildfires on a national scale?
It's really, I think, a two-pronged answer to that. First and foremost, we will continue to work with any government that's willing to work with us. The fire chiefs, we are pragmatic, we're not political. And what I mean by that is we have had conversations with all parties of government. And nobody said that this is a bad idea. The reality is we need that government to actually take the ball and get us across the finish line. As soon as we knew who the elected leader of our country was, we started to have our letter writing campaign. We've had correspondence with the Prime Minister's office. We've talked to some of the staff of the Prime Minister's office. I look forward to the opportunity to sit down with that Prime Minister and have the conversation to show the value of the creation of a National Fire Administration. More recently, the ministers responsible for emergency management from the provinces and territories had a meeting just within the last 3 weeks. And from what I understand from that, there was a commitment and a direction from the Prime Minister to sit down and look at opportunities to better coordinate responses for things like wildfires. To us, that means that the solution is already there for them. It's called the National Fire Administration, which we at the Canadian Fire Chiefs believe we already have the solution for them.
Ken, while we still have you, one more question. I mean, we've been seeing one premier after another saying to people, please respect the fire bans. Be careful where you have those bonfires. If you flick that cigarette butt, make sure that you're not outside in the wooded areas. There are very stringent fines as well. Is that enough? What more would you like to see to improve wildfire response and prevention in Canada?
Well, I think compliance is the key to that question. And the reality is none of these measures are made lightly. None of the decisions to ask people to respect the off-road vehicle bans, the prohibition of fireworks within your communities, respecting in some provinces the request to stay out of the wooded communities within those areas. These are not made lightly. They have absolutely been made with a great deal of thought process. No chief wants to restrict people for what their ability to think is to go have fun and be out with their family. The reality is there is not enough firefighters in Canada to put out the amount of fires that we're facing in this country. You do not want to be the one that creates another event that puts more pressure on the men and women that are already out there doing the good work that they're doing. It's a tiring, very long, drawn-out process, and it's going to take several weeks and months yet.
Ken, thank you so much for your time and for outlining the proposal you have in mind. Really appreciate it.
Thank you to you and your listeners. As always, stay safe.
That was the president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs and a fire chief himself, Ken McMullen.